It is the first week of Black History Month in America, and we'll start with the sublime. It's worth reminding ourselves what civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision was for our country. When he stood before the masses in Washington, D.C., gave that iconic historic speech, said that he had a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed, that all men are created equal. He dreamed of a nation where his children were no longer judged by the color of their skin. And now for the ludicrous. In stark contrast, this is how Donald Trump decided to launch the first week of Black History Month in America in 2026. He did so by putting his racism on full display. He shared a blatantly, flagrantly racist post last night. It led to the rare occurrence of some members of Donald Trump's own political party drawing a line in the sand, which led to an unusual reversal from Donald Trump, but not before the White House first tried to excuse the display of racism. In one of Donald Trump's late-night Truth Social sprees, wherein he shared posts filled with conspiracy theories, the kind of spree that would make a figure in entertainment or sports face questions about their faculties, Donald Trump posted away until he got to a racist depiction of President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama, depicting them as apes. He spread that image to his 10 million followers. Now, normally around here, we wouldn't present this racist content, but we decided to do so, not just because the sitting president of the United States posted it. He posted this image of a former president, a very popular one, and First Lady. But it isn't going to be our job to edit or whitewash the most repugnant conduct and actions of Donald J. Trump. He shared this image to the world in our name as Americans, and you should see it, all of you, especially people who voted for him. What's new about this one? Well, a few things. I mean, Donald Trump's been launching racist attacks on President Obama and Michelle Obama for years now. Donald Trump championed and amplified the birther conspiracy theory that President Obama was not born in the United States, a lie. And the New York Times writes this of Donald Trump's latest display of racism towards President Obama and Michelle Obama, quote, "The depiction of Mr. and Mrs. Obama as apes perpetuates a racist trope used historically by slave traders and segregationists to dehumanize Black people and justify lynchings. There is no denying that racist history depicting Black people as apes." And I know we talk a lot about what Donald Trump knows and doesn't know. There's no idiot defense here, because the White House actually defended this. They were good with this. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt went on the attack. She tried to justify Donald Trump's post with this, quote, "This is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public." Like your deeply unpopular agenda? Don't worry, we'll get to that, Caroline. And a little fact check for Lion King lovers. No apes. There are no apes in The Lion King. The backlash to Trump's post was swift and oddly, rarely bipartisan. The list of Republicans rebuking Donald Trump's racist post grew by the hour today. Republican Senator Tim Scott, a staunch defender of Donald Trump, called the post, quote, "the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House," end quote. Republican Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick writes this, quote, "Racism and hatred have no place in our country ever. They divide our people and weaken the foundations of our democracy. History leaves no doubt when division is inflamed by those in positions of power, the consequences are real and lasting. Whether intentional or careless, this post is a grave failure of judgment and is absolutely unacceptable from anyone, most especially the President of the United States. A clear and unequivocal apology is owed." After leaving the post up for 12 hours, Donald Trump then deleted it. And desperate to shift the blame somewhere, anywhere, a White House official says a White House staffer, quote, erroneously posted the racist content. If that's the case, it is inexplicable then that there's still been zero apology issued to the Obamas. a blatantly racist post amplified by Donald Trump during the first week of Black History Month is where we start today. Senior White House reporter Vaughn Hilliard is here. He has chronicled an unbelievably shameful list of all the examples of Donald Trump's racist conduct. It took my breath away to see it the way you compiled it, Vaughn. Also joining us, Princeton University professor and political analyst Eddie Glott is here. Puck News senior political columnist and national affairs analyst John Heilman is here. With me at the table, host of Politics Nation, president of the National Action Network, the Reverend Al Sharpton's here. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that you raised in your buildup something that's very important. People need to understand Donald Trump began his political career with racism. I mean, we fought with him in New York for many years, marched on him when he called for the execution of 5 young men who were falsely accused of raping a white woman, was found guilty of discrimination in housing. But when he decided he wanted to be Democrat sometime, would go to social events with all of us, he decided to enter politics by saying Barack Obama is not one of us. The racial overtones, undertones, whatever way you want to call it, is how he entered the political arena. So we're only seeing the manifestation of what he said it was all along. He won the White House with us against them. He ran an administration. Don't forget, in his first term is when we went through George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all of that. He was president and did nothing about it other than to go in front of a church across the street from the White House and said, when the shooting starts, the looting starts, the shooting starts, and threaten the protesters. So it's like full circle. Now we see, in the beginning of Black History Month, 2026, the President of the United States puts out a depiction of the former president and first lady who raised the hopes of many in this nation that we had crossed some line and made some advancement as a society. And he comes with something that only the Confederate President Jefferson Davis would have done if there was Twitter then. And there's no way around this. When Tim Scott would even denounce him, and you can't get a public apology, and somebody, if you claim somebody in the White House did it, how does someone have access to what the president can put out? And why aren't they fired? Why aren't they being walked out like you walked out Omarosa in your first term? You walked her out. Well, walk somebody out of the White House if that somebody exists. The reason I don't think you can walk them out is you'd have to open up the Oval Office and walk him out.
I think that's exactly right. I think it also isn't a mask off moment. It is sort of the substance of the administration is state-sanctioned racial profiling, asking people for their papers. I mean, that's what's happening in America, in Minneapolis, but all over the country.
You have state-sponsored racial profiling. Minneapolis, if you're a certain color, or speak a certain language, you're an automatic suspect, even if you're 2 years old. And you also see where they're now saying, oh, let's nationalize elections. We're going to take all of your rights away. All of this inside of 1 year and a few days of being in office. Clearly, the first thing he did when he got in office this time, declare war on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. That became the top of his agenda. So this is not out of context. This is not a one-off. He came in saying this, and he came in trying to, in many ways, execute this as president of the United States. And he was able to get up a lot of that, of his following, to go along with that until they themselves start seeing that he was picking their pockets while he was talking about blacks. And I'm not saying that everyone, I say it often, and it's been said before, I'm not saying everyone that voted for Donald Trump's a racist, but every racist voted for Donald Trump because they felt comfortable there.
Let me ask you this question, because I feel like we could talk for 2 hours about Donald Trump. But what about all the people funding Donald Trump's excesses? You've got companies, including Comcast, paid for the destruction of the East Wing. You've got tech executives standing shoulder to shoulder. Tim Cook was in a tux that they after one of the deadly ICE shootings in Minnesota. I mean, what do you think it says about the titans of industry that they're standing shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump?
It says that they have a tolerance or an engagement themselves, one or the other. At best, they tolerate.
They either like this.
Yes. At best, they tolerate it. At worst, they engage it and entertain it. And they ought not be allowed to have government contracts, government dealings, city, state, or federal, or our consumer dollars. That's why some of us have engaged in trying to resurrect the boycott type of infrastructure, picking off some of these companies. You want to finance this, you shouldn't finance it at our dollars. I don't care if you don't love me, but you're not going to use my money to institute and implement hate. You don't ever have to love me, but I'm not going to finance you having this kind of discriminatory atmosphere or fund somebody that is blatantly and openly saying that. And one thing we've not seen is one statement, one tweet from one of the corporate giants that deal with government. We've even seen Tim Scott, I'll repeat. Where are the ones that are making all of this money off of this administration that sit around the table with him and cut deals? Where is one CEO standing up saying this is unacceptable and we can no longer participate financially with you if this is your behavior? Where is that? Oh, I'm sorry, they're probably going to see his movie out about Milano.